Alright folks, next lucid dreaming Vournal entry. First let me start off by saying I know some folks might not like the effect on the video, but I've already committed to it, so it's too late to change it. And I basically got the concept from Waking Life, but I just watched it again early this morning in between my, waking up in the middle of the night for lucid dreaming, and these videos look nothing like nothing like that, but it's just YouTube. So but hopefully you guys can bear with the visual stuff and just really get the point of the audio, because that's really what matters anyway. But just woke up from, not a lucid dream, but just woke up from practice, and I wanted to let you guys or talk to you about this new technique that I've been doing. Well, not a new technique, but just in addition to the wake induced lucid dreaming, or the, I don't know if it's the mild or the wake back to bed method, pretty much. But there's a guy, his name is it escapes me at the moment, but his website is Lucidology or something like that. But he basically has this method where he uses a timer, which is something that I was doing with my phone, but his method is better because he has like this timer that you can use. It's a web application, and it'll run, it stops itself, and you can set different intervals. So unlike me on my phone, where I can only set it to like every 5 minutes, every 10 minutes, you can set it 20, 10, 8, 6, 2, 1, like that. You can do it however you want. So I want to talk about the experiences I've been having with that timer. Alright, so one of the things that he mentions, well, the reason that this works is, I don't know if you guys ever experienced this, if you've been trying to, but when you get to that point where you start to make it really important to be conscious or be aware when you're falling asleep, you'll start to notice that when you reach that level, your mind will kick in and alert you of that, and it'll make you wake back up. So a lot of the times if that happens, you'll end up going in and out of sleep continuously. And once you get into that rhythm, you notice that you're kind of like in a very man, it's kind of hard to explain, because in that state is where memory isn't as strong. So a lot of people don't usually remember that when we wake up, or remember what happened, but we can remember that period. But for me, when I'm in and out of that period, it's like as soon as I close my eyes, I can dream. As soon as I close my eyes, the dream starts. Now, how long I remain conscious in that is a different story. Or if I stay asleep, or I might wake up because I notice that the dream has started. But in that place, the pictures, the images, the sceneries, the movements, and all those things are always like a surprise to me. They're not conjured by me necessarily consciously. They appear to me, they happen to me. And one of the things that this guy was saying was, he calls that some type of impression. But basically it's like when you fall asleep, you dip down into your subconscious mind, and sometimes we come back up before we know it. And usually during that time is when we thought we heard someone talking, but we were just asleep. Or it's usually in that time, if you're on the phone with somebody, is when you say something crazy to them. Like you would say something crazy and they'd be like, "What? Are you sleep talking?" And you'd be like, "No, I wasn't just sleep." But you say something to them because it was a response to something they said to you in your dream. If you can start to identify that point, then you'll know where you're at in the whole cycle of falling asleep. So that's one of the gifts that I feel like he gave me, was being able to recognize when the subconscious mind is speaking to us. And when you can recognize that, then you'll know what to do next. Because that's what we wait for, is for those impressions. Now those impressions happen all day. They don't just happen in sleep. It's just that in sleep they take us somewhere different. But those impressions happen to us too when we're daydreaming, or those impressions too happen to us too if we're just meditating. If we don't consciously think this, if we don't, I'll put it like this. Usually the way that it happens is we're so conscious the entire time that we don't even recognize when the subconscious stuff is coming in. But just me trying to get that idea to you and finding the words to say it is me pulling from my subconscious. Just like right now I'm pulling from my subconscious. I'm not really thinking about what I'm going to say, but there's a concept I want to say, and it draws from, my conscious mind says, this is what I want to say, and the subconscious mind says, this is the best way to say it. It just works in unison. Now, it's the exact same thing. During the day, we receive these impressions all the time, but the conscious mind is so active that we don't necessarily recognize it. We receive stimulus from outside all the time and from inside. Now, when we calm our minds and we still our minds, then we get to see what surfaces. So what I've been doing is basically using that concept where I'll just lay still for a second. I do this all day, not just for lucid dreaming, but I want to get familiar with this. So I lay down and I just wait. No thoughts at all. A lot of times when we close our eyes, we see the sparkly things going on in there, that imagery or whatever. Don't look at that. Look through it. Imagine it as being almost like the space between my eyes and the phone. The space in between my eyes and the phone is nothingness. But imagine that this space in between is what creates the image that is the phone. You know what I mean? It's like you have to see through your eyelids. That's how you have to be looking when you close your eyes. Don't actively use your eyes. Let your eyes rest, because you don't need the pupil part to see. If we get caught up in using the pupil part to see, then we're looking physically still. What we want to do is look mentally, look spiritually, consciously, and that vision is synonymous with attention. It's not synonymous with seeing. It's synonymous with attention. Where you put your attention at is the exact same thing as seeing. You can lay down on your back right now, close your eyes, and feel your surroundings. That's your attention. It's off your body. It's around you. That's how we see. So what I do is I just sit and I set my intention. Well, intention and attention. But I just look through my eyelids, because they don't really exist anyway. I'm looking with consciousness, and consciousness has no barrier. So I just sit and wait. And it's a lot of the times when people end up in a dream, and it's like, whoa, how did I just get right here? Or sometimes I know this happens for me. Sometimes while looking, I'll notice the scene is like behind where I'm looking at, almost as if I'm out of focus, like I'm daydreaming. And then when I come into vision, then I can see the dream. It's like, oh, this was here the entire time. I notice that that's what happens when I stare, when I'm looking with my eyes. But when I'm looking with my consciousness, I can see the scene develop. And that's when the subconscious mind is starting to feed us that imagery. Now that's the way the subconscious mind speaks. It speaks in imagery and concepts. Another thing that he said that was really, really powerful was how when people visualize, a lot of the times we feel like we have to, from the very beginning of our visualization, picture the image that we want crystal clear, but we don't. He said, basically what he said was, you can hold the idea of a thing in your mind just as clearly as you can an image. And when he said that, it made perfect sense, because that goes with the whole concepts thing. If you watch Man Know Thyself, I think it's like part 5 or the last one, I talk about how concepts are like a seed. They within a concept, within a seed is a tree. You don't see it. It doesn't look like a tree, but within a seed is a tree. Not only is there one tree, but there's generations of trees, generations of fruit, generations of other seeds within that one tree, within that one seed. It's all in there, though you can't see it, but it embodies everything. That's the exact same thing as a concept. A concept is like an entire book. Because that's what happens when people get ideas. They get the idea for the book, and then they're inspired, and then they write the entire book that came from the concept. The concept is like the idea without words, without a language. It's that intentional or telekinesis type of understanding. It's like they didn't say anything to me. I just knew what they meant, that kind of thing. So these concepts, you can hold a concept in your mind without having to see the image. You can hold the concept of your hand. You can just think, hand. I'm just thinking about my hand right now. That's the exact same thing as visualizing it. As you hold that concept, that's how you communicate with your subconscious mind. That's how you tell it. That's how you intentionally set your intention, is by focusing on the concept of the thing, because that's what the subconscious mind understands. It doesn't necessarily understand language, because language is individual. Every person speaks a different language, but concepts are universal. That's a universal language. So you can hold on to a concept of anything in your mind. Just hold on to it for as long as you can, and then watch how your subconscious mind speaks back. We see a lot of the times, if I say, for example, remember that the subconscious mind speaks symbolically. So I might have a concept of my mind of hands, and then there's a whole entire scene that my subconscious mind can feed back to me based off of that. And it's more so my job to understand what this means in resemblance to my hands, or what is my subconscious mind trying to say to me symbolically, period. All right, so saying all that, because that's what I do. That's another thing that I do. Sometimes I'll sit there and I'll visualize a concept, and I'll do it until that concept becomes clear to me, until I can see it. And doing that is basically how I found out that, then the subconscious mind will speak back to us the exact same way. It speaks back to us in concepts and in those imagery. Now, if we can sit there and hold on to basically visualize into that, then it helps us crossing that bridge into the, basically at night. All right, so now back to what I was saying about the whole timer thing. So the timer's been waking me up, and me being in that period, going through so many different scenarios and so many different visions and all this kind of stuff has been very, very informative, because I've been able to do it consistently. Because of the timer waking up over and over and over again, I can go in and out of that phase, in and out of that phase, until I start to get like a, familiarity with it, almost as if I'm building up some neural pathways or something, and it's becoming a habit. So I try to do it as often as I can, not just in the morning, not just at night, but throughout the day too. Just sit there and observe, me going in and out of this subconscious focus and conscious focus. So one of the things he said would happen was that we would experience false awakenings, which is basically you think you're awake, but you're not, and you don't realize it. Man, that's happened to me twice so far. And the first one, because I bring the laptop into my room and just sit it on the bed so that I can hear it. And in the first dream, the first one, well, there were many, many fragments, many pieces. And as a matter of fact, let me say this before I get into the dream. So this is another thing that I've been noticing. If we sit there and do this thing that I say, where you let your eyes rest, a lot of times what I'll do is I'll just, if I'm laying my head to the side, I'll intentionally put my eyes in a corner and set my attention. So if I set my eyes in this corner, in the right corner, I'll set my attention towards the left side of my head, almost as if looking into as if, because when I close my eyes, I imagine it being a curved screen like this, all the way around, peripheral and all that kind of stuff. Now, some people, when they try to visualize, they visualize a screen right here. If you visualize the screen in front of you right here, you're using your two eyes. The real vision sees all the way around. So that's kind of like what I use as an indicator. If I feel like I'm looking straight ahead and I can just see this black screen in front of me, then I'm doing it wrong. I'm looking at that fireworksy stuff that's happening right here. I need to be looking through that. That stuff is like the virtual reality stuff, that makes up what's going to be in my dreams. I look at them as like the atoms or the molecules, that make up the dream. So I look through that stuff and look past it, because it's like the air in between me and the phone right now. All right, so what I notice is when I sit still long enough that way, and I just wait for my subconscious mind to give me a picture, that's what happens. It gives me a picture, and then I think somebody sent me a text or something. So I wait for that picture. I look at it. Okay, pay attention to it, and I don't stare at it, because when you stare at the images, a lot of times it makes them go away. You become too focused, too conscious. What's happening now is your subconscious mind is trying to woo you in. It's trying to convince you. And I've probably said this already. I don't know. But it's trying to convince you. So you have to let it. You have to play along with it. And if you focus too consciously, you'll never believe that it's true. You'll never believe that it's real. And you'll stay on the outside of the image instead of it becoming all around you. So that's what you want. When the subconscious feeds you that image, you want to make it your surroundings. So what you have to start doing is you have to become an observer, not a participator, not yet. Observe the image, and it amazes me every single time. I talk myself out of doing it almost every day, but every time I convince myself to do it, it works. Whether it's meditation, imagination, visualization, lucid dreaming, anything. sit there, imagine the image, or sit there, wait for the subconscious mind to feed you the image, observe the image, and the image will bring you in. What'll start to happen is you need to look, like, for example, most people start off looking straight ahead. So let's just say that the image is a house, right? So the first scene that pops up is like a house on the countryside, and you're at like a window. You know, you can see the entire house on the outside, but you're at a window. So look to your right, see what's over there. The subconscious mind is going to fill that blank in for you according to your expectations most of the time. Look to your left, subconscious mind is going to fill that in for you. It's going to create more scenery. Every time you do this, every time you look around and observe more things, you're becoming more and more convinced of the dream, or of this subconscious place that the mind is creating for you. Every time. Don't necessarily try to move in a certain direction unless it's an automatic movement, because at this time you are an observer. That means that you're like on a conveyor belt. Everything is going to be automatic for you. You're not participating yet until you get into the dream. The only participation that you have is observing. Now, a lot of the times what will happen is your thoughts will move you. So wanting to see what's over there will kind of like take you on a journey, or you'll just start to go on a journey. Maybe you'll go on a journey to the window, look through the window, look around. Maybe you'll go around the house or something like that. But what you're waiting for is for something to move within the dream that you didn't make happen. So, for example, let me tell you a story of a scenario that brought me right to the threshold and I couldn't hold on. Okay, so, and remember, memory and imagination and reality is all the exact same thing. So this is what was happening. Turn this off. So, alright, so I'm in this hallway. If you've ever seen that movie, The Professional, Leon the Professional, I'm in a hallway or stairwell that looks pretty much like where he lived at. And once I noticed the image coming, what I started to do was look left, look right, look up, look down, so I can see my entire scenery, know what's around me, and now it's full circle. It's not just an image in front of me. Then what I began to do was pace back and forth up and down that hallway, because I wanted to stay conscious. I didn't want to slip away, and I didn't want the vision to slip away, so I had to continue to change the scenery, move back and forth so that I could have new awareness or new things to be aware of. So I just walked up and down the hallway, looking at my feet, stomping a little bit, seeing if I can hear the noise, just trying to convince myself, got to get my senses in it, trying to feel where I am. Now, I was like, okay, I think that I have etched this place into my memory enough to be able to return to it at any time. And that's what happens when we're in and out of that sleep and you wake up from an image. Hold that image in your mind until it becomes a memory, and then you can access it at any time. For example, think about your high school. Think about your favorite class in high school or the gym in high school. You can access that place at any time. You can visualize or imagine that you're in there or feel yourself in there at any time. The concept of being there, you can do that anytime. High school, middle school, college, favorite job, worst job, favorite girlfriend's house, worst girlfriend's house, favorite best friend's house, worst friend's house. You can imagine that stuff. Favorite Burger King, any of that. So I walk through this place to etch it into my memory so that it's a place that I can access if I lose it. See, we can just jump right back in there as long as you know how to make that part your surroundings. Okay, so I started to go out. Well, I was going down the hallway actually, and for some reason, every door that I was going past just closed. Doom, 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 doom. And I wasn't making that happen. So I'm like, okay, the dream is participating with me now. I feel like my surroundings are now alive. So I'm walking past the doors and they were just closing. So I'm like, okay, maybe I'm not supposed to go this way yet. So I turn around and I'm trying to go. I was about to go up the stairs, and I get a couple steps up, and I notice how dark it is on the next floor. It's like pitch black, as if nothing even exists up there. So I was like, okay, maybe I don't want to go up there. So I just went down the steps, because the environment was solid for me now, so I don't have to move around anymore. The environment was solid, so I just went down the steps, went around the banister a little bit, and just sat down and just waited. Because I'm like, now I'm just going to wait for movement. So what ends up happening is someone comes down the stairs from that dark place. They go down the stairs and right out the front door. That I couldn't get out the front door. So I go to the front door and they close it, of course. Right as I get there, there's like this plexiglass in the door. It's like one of those ratty apartments, and it's like a Philly apartment, and it's got like a plexiglass in the window, but it's all bent, not bent out, but it's not fitted right. So you can like pull the bottom left hand corner out and see what's out there. So I didn't touch it, I didn't pull it out, but I walked to the door, and the person who went out the door actually held the door behind him, so I couldn't get out. So when I pulled it, they pulled it back, and I'm like, huh. So I looked through the plexiglass. You can't really see through it, everything's blurry, but I see the shadow or the outline of a person standing there. So I lean under the plexiglass to look up, look out, and as soon as I leaned under, I fell asleep. Boom. And then I was like, whoa, that's it. And then I jumped back up. So I kind of ruined the experience, but it works, man. It works. So let me tell you about this false awakening. That's what I like about this timer thing. It allows you to be in that realm so much that you get acclimated to it and figure out some things, as opposed to only getting to practice one time or two times. Once when you've fallen asleep and once when you're waking up. This allows you to go into that mode over and over and over again, so you can have multiple failures. It's okay. The timer is like a safety net for you. If you fall asleep, it's going to wake you back up. So this first false awakening, I'm sitting on the bed with a girl that I used to have a humongous crush on a long time ago, probably 10 years now. And for some reason, she's in the bed with me, and in the dream, I wake up and I'm holding her. And I'm like, this is weird. I don't even know why I'd be holding this girl, but for some reason it made sense then. And I'm looking at my laptop like, man, when is the alarm going to go off? I'm like, is it on the last cycle? And she looking at it, and we talking about the alarm and all this stuff. And it's so funny, man, because I swore I was awake. I'm like, man, I can't believe it. This alarm ain't working for me, man. It's taking so long to go off. And then it's like, dee-dee-dee, 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 as I wake up. And I'm cracking up to myself because that's so funny. Now, the one that just happened today had me dying when I woke up this morning because I just had to laugh at myself. All right, so I'm in this business park, which is like, that beautiful scenery they try to put around office buildings so that the employees don't feel so depressed about coming to their jobs. But so it's like one of those places, and I'm walking around. I like those places, though, by the way. But I was walking around in one of those, and I don't know how I ended up like on my back, but I must have fell. And the way I got up, I don't know if you guys have ever seen Bruce Almighty. There's a scene where I think he gets beat up, and the guys think they beat him up, so they turn around and walk on away, and he gets up, and he just like, the way he gets up is laying flat off his back, straight up to his feet, and he's like, rising up like this. Is hilarious to me. But that's exactly what I did in the dream. Now in the dream, I pushed up a little bit, and I used force to push myself the rest of the way, and it worked. Like from a very low angle like this on the ground, if you can see this, and then I straightened myself up like this with the force. And as soon as I did that and got on my feet, I was blown away, because remember, I thought I woke up. So I thought, this is real life to me. So I'm amazed. I'm like, oh my God, I'm like, no, I couldn't have used force. That's not true. I couldn't have used force. Did I just like lock into super balance? Like, is my balance ridiculously crazy right now? That's what I was thinking. So I'm like, man, I can't wait to try that again. That was crazy. So now I'm going up these steps, right? So I'm like, now this is why this is so significant. Yesterday afternoon, I've been listening to Michael Newton, and he's been talking about the life after life and life between life and all that kind of stuff. And one of the things that these souls talk about is being able to affect people with basically their intention, their thoughts. So for grieving relatives, they're able to put peace on them and love on them and stuff like that, able to direct their attentions in certain ways. So, but I know that's the exact same thing as attention that we have. When you look at somebody, for example, if you're in a car or on a bus and you just happen to look out the window and you connect right with somebody that's looking dead at you, even though you're like behind tinted glass, that's the exact same thing. We have that. So yesterday when I was going to reach for something, I actually reached for it with intention, and I did it like second nature. And not only did I reach for it with intention, but I could feel the intention leave me. And I just had to sit back like, what reality am I in, like, where I think I can do this? It's becoming real for me to be able to reach out for something with my intention. but I could feel it leave too, just like attention, just like you can feel your attention fill the room when you think somebody else is there, when you think you feel a presence, and you become so aware, and you can almost like hear your attention bouncing off the walls, like that. Same thing. So in the dream, that's why this is significant, because it's the exact same force that I was trying to use, in waking life. So I'm like, yo, am I really getting this now? Like, is it really dawning on me? So I'm going up these steps. I take 2 hops, boom, boom, because this is what I want. I want to see if I can float. I want to see if I can use this intention to float. So I take 2 hops. The first hop was unsuccessful as I'm going up the steps. Second hop, unsuccessful. The third hop, I'm trying to get over 2 steps. So I take a little extra one. And as I push with my human force first, and then as I'm in the air, I think force. And I should have known it was a dream then, because I actually took like a panned out shot, and I could see myself, and I could see my feet, and I could see me glide up the 2 steps. And that's what I did. So I glid, I think that's a word. I glid up the 2 steps, landed on top, and I didn't even want to turn around. When my feet touched the ground, my heart was pounding so fast, because remember, I think this is real life. My heart is pounding so fast. I don't want to turn around, because I'm like, if anybody saw that, they're going to be freaking out, and they might try to capture me and study me and all this kind of stuff. They're going to want to put me on YouTube or something. So I'm like, man, I need to get out of here. I'm not trying this again until I get home. I just need to get home so I can practice this, because I'm blown away. I'm like, I think I just I was like, man, I think I just had a breakthrough. I think I just had a breakthrough. This is my dream. So at the top of these steps is grass, and there's like this fence to the left, and there's this cop over there, police officer, and I'm walking through the grass, and I'm probably like 20, 30 feet from my apartment in this dream. I'm going to go up the back way. This is an apartment that I've been to before in previous dreams. That's why this next part is so funny and upsetting. So I fall down in the grass. I lay down in the grass, and I'm just looking up at the sky for a while. And I can't exactly figure out, I can't remember what it is, but something dawned on me then. Like, if I'm not mistaken, I don't know if I meditated, but something happened there. And I can't remember what it is. I do remember those blue clouds looking up, and it was almost as if somebody spoke to me and said something. So I tried to get up that way. It didn't work. I tried to get up again. It didn't work. So the cop comes over to the fence, and he's like, get up. He's like, hey, come on, man, get up. And I'm like, I'm upset at myself because I can't do this thing, but then I'm upset too because he's coming and messing up my spiritual practice. So, I get up and I'm walking away. I'm not even trying to pay attention to him. And he's like, he said something like, I thought that was a cigarette you were smoking under the bridge the other day. And I turned to him because in the dream, I had to explain this. All right. So, and I turned to him and I was like, brother, come on, man. It was a cigarette, brother. But I said it like I was ferocious because I was so upset, and because he was messing it up, and I was frustrated with myself. So I kind of snapped on him, and he looked at me and he just gave like this smile. I was like, and then turned around and walked away. And that laugh was like, and this is what I mean about concepts. In that laugh, I knew that he was trying to wake me up. In that laugh, it was like one of those, I'm your master in disguise. I'm your sensei in disguise, and I'm trying to teach you a lesson, and you didn't get it. But I don't have any judgment towards you. But you're going to feel this in a second. And so he walked away, and I'm like, because I wasn't smoking a cigarette under the bridge. In the dream, I was smoking weed, and in the dream, he was a different character that caught me. Now, what's crazy about it is I don't think I even ever had that dream, but in this dream, I had the memory of that. And when he said that to me, I'm like, wait, so that was you? And then, that's what I'm thinking as he laughs and walks off. And I'm like, man, I don't want this cop to know I was smoking weed, first of all. But second of all, I feel like he just sunned me. Like, I feel like he was like some type of, he was trying to tell me something, and I missed it. So I'm walking to my house, I'm going up to the apartment, and I get to the door or whatnot, and I guess that's when I wake up. So I'm sitting there for like 5 minutes before I realize I'm woke. And then when I realized that was a dream, and how excited I was about flying or thinking that I mastered flying. I was cracking up. But then I realized too that that guy was trying to wake me up, and you know, me and my what is it called? I want to say ignorance, but me and my unconsciousness, you know, going through the motions of being upset and angry and frustrated, things that really don't make any sense. Me going through that, I missed it. I missed the whole opportunity to wake up and be lucid because he was trying to wake me up. And he it's like he knew the exact way to do it. And with that laugh, when he walked away, it was just like, you're gonna regret this in a second. Like, but not. I'm not saying like you're gonna regret this rejecting me. He's like, you're gonna regret this in a second because you missed the opportunity, and you'll remember this laugh. Like it was almost like he was. It's hard to explain, but that concept he was trying to get across. So you want to use this timer thing. Go to Lucid. I wish I had mine. I think it's Lucidology 101, and they have a timer that you can get on their site that'll basically set this thing up. He has a video about it and everything, which will tell you why it works. But I just took up like, yeah, that was like 30 minutes. So I'm going to stop this video now. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it though. I enjoyed telling it. So if you don't enjoy it, it doesn't matter. I still had fun. But I'll see you in the next one. Hopefully in the next one I'll have a lucid dream, man, that I can end the journal, because that's the point, is to get from the beginning to that ending. And then I think I might start one for out of body experiences. Once I get my lucid dreaming practice all solid. So about to hop off here now because I need to shoot some more videos and upload some more. So thank you guys for chilling with me. I'll see you in the next one.